Woke up this morning, sunshine through the clouds, feeling the healing, laughter all around. Rise up and stand tall, joy in every stride. No more tears to fall, let your spirit guide. Blessed go summer, shining through the night. Brighter than thunder, you're the morning light. Life keeps on spinning, hold on to your dreams. You're always winning, more than it seems. Hear the drums calling, dancing to the dawn. Keep on believing, strength in every song. Blessed go summer, shining through the night. Brighter than thunder, you're the morning light. Life keeps on spinning, hold on to your dreams. You're always winning.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Blessed Girl Summer Podcast. It's your host Tisha. And I've made it, y'all. I have made it to the end of my graduate school journey, and I'm here to spill the tea, okay? Here to tell you what this has been like for me. And so for those of you who don't know, my name is Tisha. I am currently a marriage and family therapist intern. However, since my graduate program is ending officially this week as I'm recording, I will be ending my internship as well. And so we'll talk a little bit more about the process and what allows me to officially begin to see clients in the state that I live in. But for now, I kind of want to just unpack a little bit from the last time that we talked. So if you haven't checked out the episodes prior for my Graduate School Chronicles, for sure, check them out. Go back. I talk about why I decided to go back to school, what the process has been like, what I was required to do, what my experiences were in school, looking for a site to intern at, and then I think I ended like on the almost towards the end of my internship. So what all of that has been like and what I learned along the way and all of those different things. And so now at the end of my internship, whew, your girl's tired. It has been a long journey. And I think that, sometimes we get into the process where we get into the headspace where we are just like doing the thing, just keep it moving, just a doer, and just very type A and very just like, okay, these are the milestones I have to meet. I need to check these things off, check, 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 check. And I don't stop until I've gotten to the end of this checklist, end of the goal. And so I very much feel like I function that way. And I think the last time I talked to you was during my Christmas break. So it was before I started my last quarter. Um, and what I realize now in hindsight is that that was the first time that I had taken a break in the year of my internship. And so, for those of you who don't know what an internship is, well, let me go back. Let me rewind just in case you haven't listened to the other episodes. I am a student at Capella University going for my second master's degree in marriage and family therapy. And so, a part of this particular program requires you to have an internship for a year, and you're required to earn a certain amount of client hours. And then in my program, there's a certain amount of types of clients that you need to service, and there's a certain amount of hours of supervision that you have to have. There's a certain amount of hours of observation that you have to do, and like all these things in order to graduate, in addition to the courses that you have to take. And so if it sounds busy, it is busy, okay? And then there's a certain amount of hours you have to take each quarter that accumulate to the total amount of hours that you need to have. So the first time that I had really taken a break, like time off from internship, was Christmas, was that Christmas break, right? School was closed. Um, and so it just felt like a lot of my clients were doing things for the holidays. It just felt like a good time to take a break. And then when I say a break, y'all, um, really probably equated to about 7 days in total. And the break was good. But what I realized when I started school back up in January was just how much more of a break I needed. It was like, you know how if you're going, and then you stop for a little bit? It takes you a minute to enjoy the rest. And then, so it's like you're midway through the break and you're finally realizing, like, oh, I don't have to do anything. Like, I can just chill out. Because typically in the beginning of the break, you're just kind of like close out things or you're going in overdrive so that you can take a break. And so you need those few days, and then you need those few days to reset. But in the midst of those few days, I also had holidays. So it wasn't really like a heavy reset. There was still things, right, that was being done. So it wasn't until like the end of that break where I started feeling like I was getting back in a groove, but then I had to start again. And so I think it took my body a minute to like, I don't think my body ever really recovered from that like half break, like fake vacation, like vacation holiday break, not really. Like, and I think that that was the first time that I really realized that I had been doing a lot and I had been going a long time. And so now I'm jumping into a very tense quarter. So that my last quarter, I was taking a course and then I was finalizing my internship and still seeing clients. And I was also preparing for the National Marriage and Family Exam, which is a 4-hour exam, which I need to take in the state that I live in order to continue practicing after I graduate. And so this test is expensive. It's $370. There's pre stuff you have to do, background checks, fingerprints, all of which cost money. Then you have to pay for the application to apply for the application to actually apply for the $370 application. It was about $500, right? And so and then this exam you have to wait after the testing window ends. For in this particular case, it's an 8-day testing window, which just actually ended yesterday, and then you have to wait about 20 days from the end of the testing window before you get your grade. So I took my exam on the 16th of March. Today is the 22nd of March, and I don't expect to get my score back until like the middle of April. And so there's a lot of pressure around that, on top of the immense amount of studying that I needed to do to prepare for this 4-hour exam. I'm gonna see if I can get some sound effects or something so that y'all can 4-hour exam, like I'm doing it with my mouth, just in case I can't find an echo, because I'm not the greatest editor. That's not my my gifting. Um, I like to just give it to you guys how it come out. So even saying that, I feel like breathe, Letitia, breathe. So needless to say, I went back in not fully recharged, but having another assignment, another thing to do. And so it was a lot. So I was thankfully, thank God, I had pretty much accumulated all the hours I needed to graduate. So that freed up time um, that I could use to study. And so now I'm taking a class that has papers and assignments due with it, a test on this particular course, and I'm studying, and I'm trying to study 5 days a week for 3 hours 5 days a week for 3 hours a day, in addition to the other stuff that I'm doing. And then the days that I wasn't studying was the days that I had the most heaviest amount of clients, and so it was a lot. And then a lot of other things happened, like life. My daughter got really sick and ended up being in the hospital for cumulative almost 4 weeks, a week here and then a week out and then 3 weeks in. Um, and I was helping her with my grandson. And so, and then running back and forth to the hospital, just a lot of different things going on that I didn't expect, some issues with the car, like life, y'all. Life was lifing. And the regimented plan that I had planned out in terms of what my studying would look like, how I would study, how I would stay on track, and all these things didn't necessarily happen. And I really found myself, well, there was a time period, I would say probably about a week and a half to 2 weeks, where I was like kind of off, but I needed every bit. So now, mind you, it's January, um, second week of January. My daughter got sick. The first 2 weeks of January, I was doing the first week was like my birthday, so I didn't want to. I wanted to start after that, and then the last few weeks of January, I was doing good, and then when February came is when my daughter got sick, and then that just kind of started shifting things, and then I didn't really get back on schedule until like the third week, the third week of February. So then I had the third week, the fourth week, and then the first week of March, right? And so, yeah, it was just a lot. It was a lot, and I've learned a lot through that process that I absolutely want to share with you. But I wanted to just give you the details because life just does what life does, right? And um, and I had to, and so I finally took my exam. After I took my exam for 4 hours, I was so mentally fatigued and exhausted. I was burnt out. Right? I had to look up the word burnt out because I think, like, I've used it before. Girl, you was burnt out. She was burnt out. Normally, I think like that just means you're tired. Like you just tired, child. You just gotta come home and go to sleep. Nah, burnt out, like mentally burnt out. It's like I didn't even like have the capacity to think, to reason, to do anything, and it literally started shutting my body down. It's very different. Um, and and then the little bit of energy that I might have to exert, like in session or in treatment planning, it was like after I did that, psh, done. Which was a very different experience for me because I never had experienced that before. And so it was like a mental fatigue that turned into physical exhaustion. Um, and so that is what the past few months have been like for me. I definitely went into like a hibernation. I had to, some things that I was doing, some areas I was volunteering in, I'm like, I can't do that. Definitely, my client load began to go down for different reasons as people were, getting married, having kids, doing different things in their own lives. Then I took it as an opportunity that, okay, God is clearing up space for me. Whereas previously, because I was trying to get hours, that would have been another stressor for me because if I don't see you, then I can't count those hours, right? So I recognized that God was working. I recognized that He was working, um, even through the midst of all the things, but it was very uh, draining for me to navigate all of the things at the same time. So let's see. Let's talk about what the first thing that I learned through the process. So just to be clear, I'm still waiting on my grade. I'm still waiting on my grades. I don't have an update on that. I'll do another video once I get my score, once I get my passing score. I'll do another update on that. But what I really want to talk about this for this episode was the faith journey that I found myself on. Um, you know, if you checked out my previous podcast, my previous episodes, you'll know that For me, therapy is a call. It's something that I feel like God has called me to, that He's always called me to. I haven't always answered the call. And I also had not always recognized that He was calling me, right? And so I'll do another podcast about how I was able to determine that. But I was very clear that this is something that the Lord wanted me to do, and not just wanted me to do, but designed me and created me and made me to do. And so now it's like I am stepping into His will and I'm stepping into my purpose. And so I very much was aware of that when I started school. From the inception of this whole thing, the conversation between me and the Lord. And if you're new here and this is your first time, I am a believer in Jesus Christ. And so all of my stuff is really centered around that. My faith is very important to me, and it really shapes the individual that I am. And so from the beginning of this, I knew that I was not going to be doing this alone. I knew that the Lord, Jesus, Holy Spirit, you was going to have to come with me on this thing and help me do this. And I trusted and I believed that He would do that. And He has, y'all. Oh, can I say, y'all, every single class, I have a 4.0. I have a 4.0. I have only gotten A's since I've been in school. I so don't attest that to me being a genius or smart or anything like that. When I just say that God has been with me, and I'm not, and that is not absent of work. Okay, so I'm not trying to say that that is absent of work, but I'm just saying that the favor and the call and the trueness of me actually being where I'm supposed to be in the season that I'm supposed to be in is evident by the fruit. The fruit, right? It's evident by the fruit. Um, so I've been very clear on the fact that this is a partnership between me and the Lord, me and the Holy Spirit. And so with everything I've done, every paper that I've had to do, every assignment, everything, this was all new to me, right? And so there was very much God just leading me in my readings, in my understanding, in my striving to do certain things and get things done. So that has always been the case for me, and God has opened doors for me along the way. He opened the door for me to get into school. He opened the door for the convenience of school. He opened the door for me to do well in school. He opened the door for affordability, right? I took financial aid, but there was a point when I started my internship that I let go of my part-time job that was bringing income into my household, and God has still sustained. Has it been easy? Nah, it's been a sacrifice for sure, but I've still been sustained, right? No bills have gone unpaid, thank God, right? And so all along the way, I can see God's handprint, is what I'm saying. And so that has been very clear and evident for me. Even in me finding my internship, even how my internship worked with the co-therapy opportunities I was able to have, with the diverse amount of clients that I've been able to have, with the supervision that I was able to have, with the trainings I was able to, just all the things, right? That's not every intern story. And so I know that His hand has been with me through this process. And so, um, even now with like job opportunities and stuff like that, His hand has just continued to be with me through this process. I really haven't had to look for anything. I've had several opportunities just come to me. And so God's hand has been on this, and I've been really, really clear that this journey requires me to fall in alignment with what He has wanted and to stay the course, to stay the course. This has been challenging for me in the past, right? Because I have a lot of ideas. I feel like I am a person that can do a lot of things. I can do a lot of things. I can get them done, and I can get them done well. So what begins to happen is I want to do a lot of things. I have a lot of ideas, and then I have the ability to execute them. They're like not just ideas; they're things that I can actually do. But they can be very distracting because they're not the thing that I've been called to do. And the way that you can know the things that you've been called to do versus the things that are good to do or that you want to do is by the fruit of them, right? And so even though the things that I've wanted to do have been good, the fruit hasn't been as sustaining. The fruit hasn't been as ripe. The fruit hasn't been as juicy. But in this, the fruit has been good, but it has required me to discipline myself in a way that I previously have not had to discipline myself. And a few episodes back, I talked about how I knew that I was going into this cocoon, and the cocoon was my singular focus is getting this degree and this license. That's my singular focus. Whatever that roadmap looks like for that, that is the only roadmap. That's the only road Letitia's supposed to be on. Letitia wanted to be on several roads, right? Podcast road, YouTube road, coaching road, uh, retreat girls, all these things. I have all these things that I want to do. And I do believe that there's going to be a time for that. And there were some things that there was a little bit of grace for me to do as long as it stayed in the core, right? So my podcast about graduate school chronicles, that's still very much like reinforcing the school journey that I need to be on. Anyway, circling back. So I had to learn how to discipline myself to stay on course with what it was that God, I knew for sure that He had told me to do. And so I'm going to do a whole nother podcast about how you go about doing that. But I had to do that. And so that was challenging for me. I would have conversations with myself very often because I would get to journaling and I would start coming up with ideas and things that I wanted to do. And I'm like, okay, I can do this on my break because I would get a 3-week break in between classes. This last time I had 4 weeks, but normally it's a 3-week break in between quarters. And I'll be like, ooh, for these 3 weeks, I'm about to knock out this and I could do this program. Like, your girl just don't know how to be still. So I had to learn how to be still. I had to learn how to trust in God. I had to learn how to refuel so that I could have what I needed to get through the actual course I was supposed to be on. And so this quarter was, I would say, the first quarter where other challenges came, where not only did I have high stakes with, completing assignments and all these things, I had high stakes with this exam. And there was double pressure, self-inflicted for sure. And I had to constantly remind myself what was priority. And so there was a priority switch for me in the quarter, whereas all the other quarters before, the priority was always schoolwork, schoolwork, schoolwork. And schoolwork is also internship because we have supervision with the school and have to show recordings of our sessions and things like that. So when I say schoolwork, I'm also including internship. To this time, a priority had to be studying. And so it was the first time that I was like, I can't read every single article. Child, let me tell y'all, this last class I had was a lot. This class I think required a lot more. There was one other class that was really challenging. But this one, in terms of the requirements, was a lot. And even the readings, one reading one week was like 10 different articles. And if y'all know anything about graduate level articles, them bad boys is at least 20 pages. Okay? At least. So there were one week it was like 7 articles. What? But anyway. But I had to prioritize the exam. And I had to keep telling myself that. What's your priority? What's your priority? Yeah, you got to get them both done, but what's your priority? So what do you need to do so that your priority can get taken care of and the second priority can happen? So Anyways, I go through all of that. I feel a little bummed when I get thrown off course because of, the illness with my daughter and just navigating things and being thrown off schedule and stuff like that. And I feel a little bummed, and I'm starting to feel like I'm not, like, did I make a mistake scheduling this exam? Because you don't have to schedule your exam while you're still in school. That was a decision that I made because it's such a process in getting licensed, right? So I have to pass the exam. If I were not to pass the exam, I would have to take it again, which is another 300, another 400 something dollars, right? With the fee to get the code again. So another 400 something dollars. And then it would be another almost 2.5 months before I could take it again. And so that's all prolonged. All during that time, I can't work in this profession that I've been going to school for almost 2.5 years for. And then after I get licensed and after I get past the exam, I then have to send those scores over, my transcript over, and then pay $200 for my license. And then have to wait to get my licensing number, which could take a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, who knows? So that's almost putting me at another month before, yes, I can start working. So we starting to see the theme here. So this time have not been working. The internship was not a paid internship. So I did pray about it. I prayed about, I asked the Lord, should I take it in March? Should I take it in April? Like, what should I do? And he was like, am I not? No, I was like, yeah. I was like, should I take the exam in March or should I take it in April? Let me remember the exact words. He was like, am I not with you always? Y'all, I was like, psh, psh, yes, yes, Father, yes, you are. Cool. I'm taking it in March, right? So now at this point, like when all these other things are happening, that's throwing me off my plan. I'm getting concerned. I'm getting more stressed. More doubt is coming in. More fear is coming in, and I'm worried. Um, and then so now every time I study and I get an answer wrong or something comes back the way I don't want it to come back, I am like beating myself up about it. Dag, you should have got that. Dag, you should have such and such. But at the same time, what I also learned is I am the type of person, if you've listened to my previous podcast when I had Boss Ladies Connect or Tisha Talks, I've said this before that I'm definitely a person who only has to get it wrong once. I only need to learn my lesson one time. I'm not a repeat offender. Like I'm not going to keep doing the same thing over and over and over. Um, I learn really well from my lessons. And so every time I get an answer wrong, I learned really well. Like that triggered something in me to understand, okay, what was the thought process? What did I miss? Da, 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 da. So that was a really good learning tool for me. Um, to go over the questions that I got wrong, to look at the reasoning for them being wrong, to look at the reasoning that I may have used to pick the answer that I picked and why that was not the reasoning I should have. And so that was very helpful to help me learn how to analyze the questions, how to conceptualize what was taking place. So I'm in hindsight, I'm grateful for that. And I think the pressure of feeling like I'm running out of time put that into overgear for me. And I think um so it became so the my study pattern was like after I got off track, my study pattern became one day for 4 hours, I'm taking the exam. Take a break the next day. The following day, I'm reviewing all of the answers. I'm going through all of them, especially the ones I got wrong, the ones that I flagged. If there was any I flagged, but I still got them right, I'm going over those too, just to make sure that it was the understanding I had was the understanding and not that I was guessing. And so that became my pattern. Take practice exams, and then the other way that you study is um, to go over the rationale. Prior to that, I had studied by like studying. um I would still answer questions, but I was doing like quiz. Well, first of all, I have been studying for the year because I knew that I wanted to. I knew probably. Let's say I started my internship last April. I knew by June of last year that I wanted to take my exam while I was still in school, and so from probably like August, probably from around that time after that quarter, which I think ended in July or something, July or August, I had really started studying from that point. I had study books, I was reading them. I had an online study thing. I was reading, doing index cards, answering little quizzes, playing little different games. I had an app on my phone, so I was studying material the whole time. I didn't start taking practice exams because I didn't purchase the practice exam things until January to the big till no, I think December. 'Cause I think they had a Christmas special, so I didn't purchase that until December. So I didn't start taking mock exams until like 2.5 months before the thing. But I knew for almost a year that I was going to be taking that exam early, so I was studying all along. So, anyways, um, I want to get back because the point of this, I know I'm going on and on. I want to make sure I'm doing a blend for those of you who are listening for just to know what it is like. I want to make sure that I'm able to be pretty detailed about the amount of effort and work that I had to kind of put into it. But I also want to make it pretty clear about what I think has been the most valuable individual experience for me. And that is increasing my faith along the way and learning how to do that in the moment, right? Like in the reality of what is standing before me that seems unknown, uncertain, defeated, like in that reality. And so I'm doing all this study and stuff. And so when so then I'm in a pretty good feel, space. I'm doing pretty decent on my scores. Like every prep that I'm taking, I'm passing. So my confidence is building. Um, and I feel pretty good. Then I go to I go and take the exam, and the exam isn't quite what I had imagined that it would be. However, what I had determined beforehand was that it was me and the Lord. I went back to that original thing. Like I'm answering the call. Um, and I know that your word says that you will not leave me or forsake me, that you will be with me, that you leave the comforter with me. He will guide me and direct me. And so all along in this journey, I've been allowing myself to be guided by the comforter. And so in this moment, I'm like, okay, Lord, I know you're going to be with me, like while I'm taking this exam, while I'm there. And so I go in there, like I do my prayers. And the week before, I didn't see clients for a few days. And because I just really wanted to be able to not just be studying all the time, but be spending time with the Lord and just in worship and just be at a good space. Because what I was also struggling with was rushing to read. Like I would find myself zooming through the question and missing stuff, or zooming through the answers and missing stuff, because my nervous system, when I get nervous, I go faster. And this is a time thing. So when I'm trying to figure out the time, or I feel like I don't know the answer, I feel like I got something wrong, I'm still thinking about the question before. Did I get that right? Did I get that question right? And that's rolling over into the time that I'm supposed to be using for this new question. And all of that would increase would dysregulate me. And so I was really wanting to, during that time, I was also trying to learn how to pace myself. And so I had been purposefully working on that, purposefully looking at scriptures that will calm me, that will remind me who I am, whose I am, that I wasn't alone. And and so I went in there, took the exam. And then when I left out of the exam, when I say I was drained, I felt like I went into a vortex of this exam. I can't even really remember anything. Exam. And then I came out of the vortex. I tell you, in this I used all 4 hours. I did not have to go to the bathroom, not one time, which at my age of 49, that is a miracle all by itself. Like every hour and a half, every 2 hours, your girl got to go to the bathroom. I did not have to go to that bathroom for 4 hours. I had to tell myself, well, Tisha, go to the bathroom before you get in this car and drive home. I didn't have to go to the bathroom for 4 hours. I wasn't hungry for 4 hours. I used to also struggle too when I was doing the practice exams. I was struggling with like staying focused. Like after like 30 questions, I'm kind of like, my mind started wanting to wander and go places, and I'll be like, come back, next question, come back. I maybe had that one time, and that was probably by like question 100 and something, right? And so it wasn't until it was a 180 question exam. It wasn't until question 175 that I was like, ooh, your girl feeling a little tired, right? But I only have 5 questions left. So, so I get in there. So when I come out, I wasn't tired. I wasn't hungry. I didn't have to go to the bathroom. And I was not nervous. I felt very calm, very, very calm throughout the whole thing. And so, like, I know that was the Lord. I know that was the Lord. Y'all, I'm telling you, I know that was the Lord. So I come out of it. Now, I had did all this prep work to prepare myself for this test, like taking this test and all this stuff. And in my mind, I thought there was gonna be like this release because I took the exam and I'm in my last week of school and like, you done, girl. What I had not anticipated was that I would be having feelings around this waiting period. Y'all, I was having dreams about like questions, like, did I do that right? I did that wrong. And I had a whole breakdown over one question that I felt like I didn't answer right. And I just was like, why am I breaking down? It was just very unexpected for me. But what I've realized is that it was the accumulation of it all. It has been a long, long, long journey. And I am kind of technically done, but still don't know. Mm. And it's like that's what faith is, right? Like you might be in a position where there's nothing else for you to do. There's nothing else you can do, right? Um, I mean, you could worry. You could worry, and that was starting to happen. Um, but we all know worrying doesn't do anything, but make it worse, make you lose sleep, make you more cranky, make you more stressed out. When at this point, it's already done. It's already done. And so then I really had to come to the place about what am I agreeing with, right? Do I believe that God's got me? Do I believe that I'm good, that it's done, that it's sealed? And am I going to spend the next 3 weeks stressing over it, allowing the enemy to steal my joy about it? Or am I going to believe God? Like, am I going to believe that the same way that he has had me through this entire process, that he's going to have me? Am I going to believe God that I did my part? I did all the things that I was responsible for doing. I answered the call. I was obedient to the things that he said. I was diligent with the work. I was intentional about studying. I did all the things, right? And um and am I going to believe that he's with me? That he's with me in this? Is that what I'm going to do for the next 2 weeks? 2.5 weeks, or am I going to let the enemy play with my mind? And so your girl was letting the enemy play with her mind for like a day and a half until it just was like, nah, this is not, no, 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 no. So I'll leave you with this. Have you ever been driving in a car? So sitting in a car, I'll tell you this. I sit in this parking lot once a week because I have a meeting, right? And I do it in the parking lot. I sit in this parking lot, and the way that my car faces in this parking lot, the sunrise happens behind my car. And in front of my car, it's all dark because the sun hasn't risen. The sun rises on that side and not on that side. And so my facing view, the biggest mirror that I have, my window, is dark. The only thing is the light poles from the parking lot that I'm in. And so the only thing that I can see is whatever the light poles have illuminated. However, because I have driven in this spot and I've sat in this spot when it's light and day, I know that there's much other stuff. There's many, many other things. There's stores and all this stuff like going, you know, beyond this parking lot. But where I am right now, from the viewpoint that I have, all I can see is this parking lot and this one gas station. That's all I can see. But I know that there is more. I just can't see it. It's all dark. But when I look to my left out my side view mirror, and when I look out my rear view mirror, I can see the sun coming up. I can see the light. The sky is blue. It's not dark. It's like a light blue coming up and rising. And I thought to myself, how interesting this is that I'm in the same position. I haven't moved. I haven't moved. But what I'm looking at here is darkness with a little bit of glimmer of light. And when I look to my left through my side view, I see a whole sunrise happening. But I haven't changed positions. All I've done was change my sight, change what I'm focused on, change what I'm looking at. And when I looked in that side view, the sunrise, the blue skies, it represented hope for me. It represented God's promises of a new day, new morning, all of those things. And it reminded me of all the things that He has done in the past, all of the things that He has done to get me to where I am right now, this position in this car, right? And although I can't see beyond these lights right now, He can. And it dawned on me, this is what faith is. This is what trust is. This is what saying yes is. This is what being obedient is. This is what answering the call is. You can't see it all, but you trust God enough to take the steps that you can, right? To do the things that you can, to see as much as He's illuminated for you. And so in that moment, I sat in that car and I said, I trust God. This is the journey. This is the journey, right? It might look dark now, but I know when the sun finishes rising, I'm going to see it all. You know what I mean? And so I just want to encourage you. I know this has been a little bit long of a podcast. For those of you who this is applicable to any season of life that you may find yourself in, but for those who are going on this journey, it's going to be challenging, as is so many other things. There's going to be so much stuff that you can't see, that is unknown, that you're not sure about, that you're not certain on. And you're only going to have just this one little step, or you're only going to know this one little thing. And then you have to make a decision. Am I going to keep going forward? Am I going to keep going forward? Or am I going to stay stuck in this spot? Or am I not going to move? And my hope and my prayer is that you decide to move. You decide to say yes. You decide to take them couple of steps of what you can see. You know what I mean? You decide to do what you can do and trust God with the rest. And so I just wanted to share, I'm a living testimony that every time I have trusted Him, He has never failed. That it has always been better. The fruit has been better than I could have imagined. And although it hasn't, I don't think that story sounded easy, right? There was definitely a lot of discipline and work and things that I had to put in order to get to where I am. But the fruit is so much better. And so next time, I think I'm going to do a podcast and talk a little bit about some of my individual things that I've learned and the ways in which I've grown throughout this program. It amazes me. I am really amazed. I'm not the same person I was when I started this program for sure. So I do want to talk about a little bit of that. And then I am going to talk a little bit more about what I've learned in terms of process, right? The process to the promise, the process in the journey, the process to the goal. A lot of us, we get to the goal, or maybe we don't. Maybe we quit the process before we get there. But either way, I want to talk a little bit about what I've learned is necessary to maintain the course. So y'all will be hearing a little bit from me. I got a little bit of time, right? I at least got 20 days. I got a little bit of time. So I plan on sharing some things that I've taken away from this journey. And I hope that this has been helpful. And if it has, please let your girl know. Let me know. And if there's any questions you have, I'll definitely try to answer them. Talk to you later.
Woke up this morning, sunshine through the clouds, feeling the healing, laughter all around. Rise up and stand tall, joy in every stride. No more tears to fall, let your spirit guide. Blessed goes summer, shining through the night. Brighter than thunder, you're the morning light. Life keeps on spinning, hold on to your dreams. You're always winning, more than it seems. Hear the drums calling, dancing to the dawn. Keep on believing, strength in every song. Blessed goes summer, shining through the night. Brighter than thunder, you're the morning light. Life keeps on spinning, hold on to your dreams. You're always winning, more than it seems. Hear the drums calling, dancing to the dawn. Keep on believing, strength in every song. Blessed goes summer, shining through the night. Brighter than thunder, you're the morning light. Life keeps on spinning, hold on to your dreams. You're always winning, more than it seems.